नाजरीन, सालार डिजिटल की रबीउल-अव्वल सीरीज़ में आप सबका तहे दिल से एक बार फिर खैर मक़दम है। हाजिर हैं हम एक नए मेहमान के साथ, एक नए मौजू के साथ। आज के हमारे मेहमान हैं जनाब मसूद अब्दुल हमीद साहब। मसूद साहब एक टेलीकम्युनिकेशंस इंजीनियर हैं, आप एक MBA भी हैं। साथ ही साथ आपका एक अपना YouTube चैनल है जो इस्लाम फॉर यू के नाम से मशहूर है। मसूद साहब, इस प्रोग्राम में आपका खैर मक़दम है।
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। मैं सालार डिजिटल का बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया अदा करना चाहता हूं कि आपने मुझे इस प्रोग्राम पे इनवाइट किया।
जैसा कि आप जानते हैं, हम लोग हुजूर अकरम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम की पर्सनालिटी पर रोशनी डाल रहे हैं। आपके बेशुमार पहलू हैं, तो आज आप किस पहलू पर रोशनी डालना चाहेंगे?
अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह, पहली बात मैं सालार डिजिटल का और आपकी सारी टीम का तहे दिल से शुक्रिया अदा करना चाहता हूं कि आपने ये अपॉर्चुनिटी दिया और मुझे इस प्रोग्राम में इन्वाइट किया। Truly, it's an honor for me to be part of this particular program, and it's a bigger honor for me to talk about the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I must say that today I'm going to talk about a very important topic of how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam brought reforms in the society and how that changed the fabric of the society, and most importantly, how we as Muslims today can use those teachings of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and be the change agents and the catalyst for change in today's society.
मसूद साहब, ये सब्जेक्ट काफ़ी इंटरेस्टिंग है और काफ़ी लंबा चौड़ा भी हो सकता है। इसमें यह है कि सबसे पहले तो हमें जाना पड़ेगा कि हुजूर की आमद से पहले वहाँ का माशरा कैसा था, वहाँ के हालात कैसे थे। तो हम इससे शुरू करते हैं, क्योंकि एक तरफ तो वहाँ क्या था कि जहालत का दौर दौरा था, दूसरी तरफ ज़ुबान उनके पास ऐसी थी जिन पर ख़ुद उनको फ़ख्र हासिल था, बावजूद इसके उसमें काफ़ी अनपढ़ लोग मौजूद थे। तो इट वाज अ सोसाइटी ऑफ कॉन्ट्रास्ट। तो वहाँ से शुरू करते हैं कि आपकी आमद से पहले वहाँ के हालात क्या थे?
जी ज़रूर। जैसे आपने बोला कि द पीरियड विच वाज प्री इस्लामिक पीरियड बिफोर द बर्थ ऑफ रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम वाज कॉल्ड द जाहिलिया पीरियड। लेट्स टेक अ स्टेप बैक एंड अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इज़ जाहिलिया पीरियड इन कॉन्टेक्स्ट ऑफ द कुरान। In the context of Quran, Jahiliya basically means error or somebody going astray. This was used for the prophets before Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam for those people who went astray and did not follow the right path. Specifically for pre-Arabia, before Islam, this was used as a period of ignorance. Jahiliya was a period of ignorance. Now let us understand why was it called the period of ignorance. First and the most important thing, if you understand about Jahiliya period, you have to understand about Arabs, right? Arabs were tribal people. Most of their people were linked to their ancestors. Each of these tribes were divided into separate clans. At that point in time, there was no specific law, rule or regulation in Arabia. As a result of this, every single tribe had their own specific rules, their belief system and their own cultural norms. Even a single simple conflict was solved through vendetta, which basically means that if a person of a particular tribe killed a person of my tribe, I will go ahead and revenge and kill a person of the other tribe. Now this was the problem of war and conflict in this particular place. At this time, Mecca was an economic hub of that particular place, and Kaaba was under the guardianship of the Quraysh tribe. Madina was called Yathrib, and the two tribes which were important was Aus and Khazraj. This was the political setup of this place. Now let us understand what was the social construct of pre-Islamic Arabia during Jahiliya time. Now there were various things which were happening. To name a few, immorality was a big thing which was happening at that time. We had unlimited polygamy. Men could marry as many number of women and divorce the women. Women had zero or no rights. There was drunkenness. Arabs were known for their hospitality, right? Whenever guests used to come to their house, they used to serve the best quality wine and they were known for it. There was usury, because of which the rich were becoming rich and the poor were becoming poor. There were slaves. There was huge amount of sexual immorality. there was superstition, and the worst thing was there was female infanticide, where young girls were buried alive and nobody used to kind of question. Women had no rights, there was no inheritance rights for women whatsoever. This was called the Jahiliya period before the birth of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a messenger for the mankind to guide the people for the entire world and the people of Arabia, who were those people who were actually kind of eating dirty food, drinking filthy water. They were staying among stones, venomous serpents, and these were the people who were in deep sins and they had no value for relationship. This was a dark period pre-Islam before the birth of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. At this point in time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent a light to this world, and that light was the birth of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Masood Saab, in this scenario, in this situation, in this society of contrast, I have called it, like on one end, we see Arabs as hospitable people. On the other end, they had all sorts of wrong things going around. On one end, they had that political mileage, कि मक्के पर उनका कंट्रोल था, हज उम्रा जो भी होता था, उसकी एक अपनी इकोनॉमी थी, इस पर उनका कंट्रोल था. So financially they were very well off, at least certain clans. तीसरी तरफ उनकी अपनी ज़ुबान थी जिस पर उनको काफ़ी फ़ख्र था. ये सब पॉजिटिव चीज़ें थीं. इसके बावजूद लाइक यू सेड काफ़ी सारा उसमें अंधेरा था, दौर जाहिलिया था. ऐसे में अल्लाह ताला ने मक्के पर यानी दुनिया पर रहम फरमाया और हुजूर की बैसत फरमाई. आपको भी काफ़ी अरसा लगा, काफ़ी मेहनत लगी इस निज़ाम को चेंज करने में, इस माशरे को चेंज करने में. फिर इसके बाद जो चेंजेस आए वो सबके सामने हैं. तो ये बताइए कि आपकी आमद के बाद क्या क्या चेंजेस आए.
मैसेंजर्स के बारे में बात करना चाहता हूँ. बेसिकली मैसेंजर्स वर सेंट बाय अल्लाह सुब्हानहू व तआला टू रिफॉर्म द सोसाइटी. Before Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there were many messengers which were sent on the face of the earth. In the Quran, there are about 25 messengers who are mentioned by name. These messengers were sent for that specific tribe at a particular point in time. Whereas Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sent for the entire mankind till the end of time. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a reformer for the entire mankind. His mission was to purify the hearts of the people, to reform the society, the political sphere, the economical sphere of not just Arabia, but give a guiding light to the entire mankind. This was the starting of the birth of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, how did these reforms happen in Arabia, which was so dark? There were so many things which are happening. This can be divided into three phases. The first phase is during the age of 1 to 40 of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This was an age when the common Arabs did not recognize Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a prophet. What they recognized was his culture, his integrity. He was trustworthy. He was the noblest of characters among every single person, and this was the character which was the foundation of a change which was to happen. At this point in time, the Arabs who kind of looked up to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam made him as a guardian for their wealth, used to give the wealth, and at that point in time they felt that he was the most perfect in character. Now, this was the first stage. This stage is a lesson for all of us here. We need to understand that if we need to make changes in this world, it has to start by building a great character. The second phase was when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was given prophethood and Quran was revealed to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, this was the turning point. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to go out openly to talk about the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and preach to the people. And there was an incident when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam went on top of the mountain and invited the people and the tribes of Arabia. All the tribe members came at that point in time to the foot of the mountain. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned to all the tribe members, if I have to tell you there is an army behind the mountain, would you believe me? Almost every single person there said, yes, we will believe you because we have seen you a person of great character who does not lie and who always talks of the truth. And at that point in time, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned, I am a warner sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I am warning you of a severe punishment. This was in context to the most important thing, that was the objective of accepting the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This was the second important phase where people started accepting Islam and started reforming only because of the character of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because they believed truly that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would never tell a lie. Now the third and the most important phase was the phase of Medina. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam migrated to Medina and set up the Islamic state, the Sharia laws were sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Apart from the laws, the way of governing the state, the most important aspect was Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked people to spread goodness and stop people from doing evil. He was one of the greatest of reformers. The first ever constitution that was written in Medina by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which actually spoke about interfaith and intercommunal harmony. Now, if you look at the spread of Islam, apart from Mecca and Medina, Islam at this point in time started spreading across Arabia. The provinces had Sahabis who were ruling them. All of these Sahabis who were ruling the provinces were supposed to be just, were supposed to collect the zakat. The most important thing, people were not supposed to be hungry in their provinces and not suffer in these provinces. There was an instant of Umar Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu where there was no one to take zakat, because that was the prosperity in that particular place. The second and the most important part which happened in Medina is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam emphasized on the concept of ummah. Now this is something which is undermined today, the concept of ummah, the concept of brotherhood which exists from that point in time. Because of this concept of ummah, the people who were kind of split into each of these tribes got together as one Muslim ummah with a banner, and that banner was Islam. Now there are few key important messages which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam spread in the society which transformed the society. I'll just name a few of them. The first and the most important message was the message of oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, message of Tawheed. The second important message was he taught every single person what is it to be in this particular world, how do you need to live so that you are preparing yourself for the hereafter, and every single soul will be answerable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Third message, what is the purpose of our lives? Why have we come here, and what we should do for the society, for the benefit of the society. These three messages purified the hearts of people and helped them with the reforms. Fourth important message was the message of social justice. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told the people that is equality before the law and equality before the God is most important. I urge every single person to listen to the last sermon of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he mentions that every single human being is equal in the eyes of God. There cannot be any superiority, be it Arabs or non-Arabs, based on color or creed. There are various examples in the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam where he talks about equality. For example, Hazrat Bilal, who was a black slave, he was asked to give the first azan. For example, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam got his sister married to slave Zayd bin Harisa, which was again a great example of equality. The fifth example is being kind and forgiving your enemies. This was one of the most amazing reforms and a lesson for all of us. How should you treat your enemies and forgive them? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam forgave most of these enemies in several instances, which actually made the hearts of people melt and accept Islam. For example, in Taif, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was stoned because when he went to preach about Islam, people did not accept it. At that point in time, when he was stoned and ridiculed, he looked at the people and forgave the people. When he came back to Mecca to conquer Mecca, what happened? At this point in time, he was looking at the eyes of those people who had killed their relatives. He forgave them. And there were so many instances in the Battle of Uhud, he forgave those people who killed their own Sahabis. This was a great example. The sixth example is how to treat orphans and poor people. There is a beautiful example where at one point in time, it was the occasion of Eid. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, along with every single person, were happy, they're rejoicing. They went to the Eid prayers. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam shared those Eid prayers. After the Eid prayers, when he was returning back, he saw a child. The child was crying. He went to the child. He asked the child, "Why are you crying?" The child was weeping. The child was wearing dirty clothes. The child said that my father was martyred in the way of Islam, and I don't have a mother. I don't know what to do. I'm feeling extremely sad because everybody is rejoicing and I don't know what to do. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam took the child home, hugged the child, took the child home and made sure the child is wearing great clothes, great food. And at that point in time, it was the biggest lesson on how to take care of orphans, how to take care of parents. People didn't know how to respect their parents in the time of Jahiliya. It is mentioned in the Quran that at no point in time you can even utter the word uff for your parents. This was taught by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to the entire society. How to take care of your environment, planting trees. It is also mentioned very clearly that there is no compulsion in religion. So all of these teachings actually build a foundation and building blocks to the change in the entire society. And at the end of the day, the society at large had changed both in Mecca and Medina. So this was the change and reform which happened from the Jahiliya period till the time Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was there till the age of 63.
मसूद साहब, ऐसा लगता है कि दुनिया आज एक चौराहे पे खड़ी है. वी आर एट क्रॉस रोड्स. एक तरफ हम देखते हैं कि दौरे जाहिलिया की काफ़ी सारी रस्में अपने पूरे फोर्स से मौजूद हैं. इन रस्मों को निभाने वालों के पास अपना जस्टिफिकेशन है, अपना इंटरप्रिटेशन है. दूसरी तरफ हम लोग टेक्नोलॉजिकली एडवांस्ड हैं. हमको लगता है कि ये दुनिया ही नहीं, इसके आगे भी देयर आर वर्ल्ड्स जिनको हमें एक्सप्लोर करना चाहिए. इन सब के बावजूद, एक कामयाब ज़िंदगी गुजारने के बावजूद, इतनी एडवांसमेंट होने के बावजूद, फिर भी देयर इज़ अ गैप, देयर इज़ अ वैक्यूम. लोग ऑन अ जनरल बेसिस उतने खुश नहीं हैं जितने के होने चाहिए थे. क्या लगता है आपको? व्हाट इज़ द आइडियल वे ऑफ लाइफ?
I think it's a very important, very good and a very relevant question. What we need to understand as a society is how are we defining happiness. Today, we are defining happiness as a state of mind at a point in time. For example, if a person goes, watches a movie, comes back, he feels happy. If you go on a vacation, come back, you feel extremely happy. But when all of these triggers are not happening, people kind of take the use of chemicals and drugs to feel happy. What we need to understand as a society is happiness is a sum total of how we have lived our entire life. That is what Islam tells us. There are 4 important things that one can follow in order to make sure that we are being great people, making changes to the society, following Islam and remaining happy. That is the essence of our life. Right? First important thing, character and building a strong foundation of character is the most important thing for all of us. Let us just recap that in the first 40 years of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Quran was not revealed. But the people across Arabia recognized Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a person of the highest character, highest honor, person who kind of talks the truth. And how did the change happen? The change happened in the social fabric of the society because of the foundation of a great character. We need to understand, our children need to understand, the youths need to understand that if we need to bring change, the first step is building a great character. I'll give you a simple example. When we have our marriages, when we have our parties, when we have a get-together, we have a group of 10 to 15 people sitting together for about 3 hours, 3 to 4 hours, enjoying a nice meal. What really happens in these discussions? We discuss about politics, we discuss about family, we discuss about all of the negative things that are happening in the society, and we go back happy. But the question is, can we discuss one important thing in that meeting which will bring a social change and social reform? If 10 people in a gathering can bring one change in 1 year, just look at the society. But all of this can happen only by building a great character. The second important point is how are we deriving our moral values? What is our framework and what is the point in which we kind of say that we are morally just in the society. I'll give you a few examples. In the society today, things are changing in a rapid pace. Things which were not acceptable by governments are acceptable now. They have become rule of law right now, be it the social sphere, the economic sphere, the political sphere. So how do we conduct ourselves in this changing world of technology, changing world of law and order? The foundation for our moral values should be derived from Quran and Sunnah. We should be the best engineers, the best doctors, the best scientists in the world today. And we all want to be there. But at the end of the day, the foundation, the guiding light should be Quran and Sunnah for our moral values, without any compromise. The third important thing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that if you want to kind of attain my love, the easiest way is to follow the teachings of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Atiullah wa atiur Rasul. Now, we kind of teach our kids, we learn the Quran, we kind of make sure that we are memorizing the Quran, which is such a beautiful thing. We also want to make sure that we get close to the Hadith, and we need to understand what is this Hadith. I'll give you a very simple example. Hadith is nothing but the qawl, fail and taqreer of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Basically his words, his actions and his silent affirmations. This was passed on from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to the Sahabis, from the Sahabis to the Tabi'in, from the Tabi'in to Tabi Tabi'in, and then documented in the form of books. Now, based on the narrators, number of narrators, the hadith can be categorized into sanad of the hadith, which kind of talks about the number of narrators. There are 4 categories of hadith, and I'll tell you why I'm getting there, right? For example, we need to understand what is a sahih hadith, what is a hasan hadith, what is a daif hadith, and what is a mawzu hadith. Lot of times in the society today, people quote a mawzu hadith and kind of have bid'ah in the society. They follow practices which are not even there. A mawzu hadith is something which one should not follow. It is a fabricated hadith. The reason why I'm kind of emphasizing on this importance is unless and until we understand what is the basic concept of the hadith, question people on whether it's a sahih hadith or hasan hadith, whether it is authenticated, we will not be able to bring about the change, because we have a lot of people talking about fabricated hadith, which becomes a way of life. This is an important thing that we have to inculcate in ourselves as an ummah, and also teach our kids as well, so that the change happens. Last but not the least, so my favorite hadith is the hadith which was narrated by Ibn Abbas and reported by Al-Hakim. In this hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam mentions, take advantage of 5 things before 5. So what are the 5 things? So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam mentions, take advantage of your youth before your old age. Take advantage of your wealth before poverty. Take advantage of your health before sickness. Take advantage of your time before you get busy, and take advantage of your life before death. Now with this I conclude, and inshallah ta'ala I pray that we establish a great identity for ourselves and change the society based on the teachings of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Thank you so much.
And we have taken advantage of some distinguished guests before the series runs out. नाजरीन, ये थे मसूद अब्दुल हमीद. हमारी गुफ्तगू जारी रहेगी एक और ख़ास मेहमान के साथ. हमारे साथ जुड़े रहिए. तब तक के लिए अल्लाह हाफ़िज़.
वो जो चाहे चाँद को तोड़ दे, वो जो चाहे चाँद को तोड़ दे, उन्हें इख्तियार दिया गया, उन्हें इख्तियार दिया गया. वो जो चाहे चाँद को तोड़ दे, वो फिर उसके टुकड़ों को जोड़ दे, वो फिर उसके टुकड़ों को जोड़ दे. उन्हें इख्तियार दिया गया, उन्हें इख्तियार दिया गया. वो जो चाहे चांद को तोड़ दे। जो अली के असर क़ज़ा हुई तो वो वक्त पर ही अदा हुई। जो अली के असर क़ज़ा हुई तो वो वक्त पर ही अदा हुई, तो वो वक्त पर ही अदा हुई। छुपे आफ़ताब को मोड़ दे, हाँ छुपे आफ़ताब को मोड़ दे। उन्हें इख्तियार दिया गया, उन्हें इख्तियार दिया गया। वो जो चाहे चांद को तोड़ दे। रुखनार उनके गुलाम को लिए जा रहे वो मलाइका। रुखनार उनके गुलाम को लिए जा रहे वो मलाइका, लिए जा रहे वो मलाइका। वो पकड़ के खुल्द को मोड़ दे, हाँ वो पकड़ के खुल्द को मोड़ दे। उन्हें इख्तियार दिया गया, उन्हें इख्तियार दिया गया। वो जो चाहे चांद को तोड़ दे। वो नबी की मुट्ठी का मौजज़ा कि वमा रमैत कहे खुदा। वो नबी की मुट्ठी का मौजज़ा कि वमा रमैत कहे खुदा, कि वमा रमैत कहे खुदा। वो निगाहें कुफ्र की फोड़ दे, हाँ वो निगाहें कुफ्र की फोड़ दे। उन्हें इख्तियार दिया गया, उन्हें इख्तियार दिया गया। वो जो चाहे चांद को तोड़ दे। लिखो नाज़िश उनका ये मौजज़ा कि किसी की आँख निकल गई। लिखो नाज़िश उनका ये मौजज़ा कि किसी की आँख निकल गई, कि किसी की आँख निकल गई। बोलो पाक से जोड़ दे, हाँ बोलो आबे पाक से जोड़ दे। उन्हें इख्तियार दिया गया, उन्हें इख्तियार दिया गया। वो जो चाहे चांद को तोड़ दे।